Hello and welcome. I'm Arithix, and today I'm going to be introducing you to the Bobverse. What is the Bobverse? Well, it's the name I've given for the universe in which this building project takes place in, named for the most powerful figure in it, our friend Bob here. So, who is Bob, and why should you care? He is a pretty standard looking minifigure. Well, I suppose I'll explain the origin of the idea. So I wanted to make a city for years and years and years. I thought about doing a zombie one, I thought about doing a cyberpunk one, but then I saw the new Hashina guys, and whoa, I don't know how I would compete with them. I have reached out to them because I'd love to contribute a small part to their thing, so you never know. That'd be fun. Anyway, so this guy Bob here, I was having a conversation with my girlfriend where I told her I thought that the standard smiley face of the old Lego minifigure can be eerily unsettling in the right setting. So you put this smiling figure in front of a burning building as it, burns to the ground. He suddenly becomes very creepy and eerie. And so from there, we sort of came up with this idea that Bob was an evil genius, and that he was the leader of some sort of big evil organization. So I was feeling a little bit creative, and I actually built Bob's office, which I will show you in a second. His personality started to take shape as I started building the office and getting really into it. So without further ado, let's check out Bob's office. Right, so here we have Bob's office. This was a mock that I built a good few years ago now, just to give Bob a place to run his vast empire from. It started off pretty much with the desk here. So you've got his computer, his coffee mug, pizza, radio, and then a head in a jar, which is a reference to an old stop motion series. If anyone gets that, it'd be awesome if anyone can guess which one that's from. We do have this wall on the left here. Let me just bring this around into the light. So this is Bob's wall of heads. Now this was just sort of an idea that I had while I was sort of midway through building it. Is that it's Lego, and it can be a bit fun, but I also wanted to have it be a little bit brutal, but in its own Lego fun way. So Bob does collect the heads of people that he has defeated in battle or just conquered their lands. Some of these heads will change. I'm not sold on some of these being here. Johnny Thunder, for example, actually works for Bob, which I'll talk about later, but he shouldn't really be on the wall. But some of them can. I mean, the Baron, obviously, is a bad guy. He can definitely stay there. And there's lots of other different stories. The Martians tried to rise up against Bob. Doesn't end well for anyone that does try. But I like to think that, yeah, it's a wall full of heads. It's fairly barbaric, but at the end of the day, it's Lego. So I like to imagine that all of these Lego characters are still, fully functioning and alive. They're Lego. They can survive without a head. So when Bob is having meetings, sometimes these heads can get a little bit rowdy, and they speak their mind, and they voice their opinions. And all Bob has to do is one little turn towards them, and give them one look, and they know it's time to be quiet. There are worse fates than ending up on this wall. On the other side, if I just rotate the whole mock, it's just easier. He has this nice little cabinet here, with these glass bottles along the back, just a few random little bits of decoration. This rock from the old Rock Raiders I think that colour is from the old Rock Raiders one, whereas I think the blue one is from a slightly newer set. Just using some of the sort of snot technique books that you've seen in many sets before. I did do a hell of a job. I put loads of greebling on the top. I mean, I probably overdid it, but I just wanted to have a little bit of fun with greebling. It was the first mock I built in a while, and I guess I went a little bit overboard. Over here we have one of his, part of his collection. He has the sarcophagus from the adventure theme. Originally this cabinet was going to be for a different mock, which I'm still planning on building, which was the McLaren's pub from How I Met Your Mother. This was originally going to be the sort of the shelving unit behind the bar, but then I ended up sort of using that to build part of Bob's office. The rest of his office is pretty open, mainly because I have a lot of minifigures for which Bob sort of presides over, and they all I had a little scene going on in here for a while. So there's Bob in his office, and next we'll move on to the lore of Bob. So, what is Bob's story? Well, in the beginning there wasn't much. Basic blocks and lots of people with no movable arms or legs. But then Bob arrived, followed by many others that looked just like him, and the original minifigures were slowly replaced, and it's rumoured that Bob had them disassembled and repurposed. Now, Bob was an influential figure. He was the most prominent builder within the original town theme, and many flocked behind him as he built grand wonders. Then he looked over the horizon and saw the castle theme just beyond it, starting to build the foundations of their castles. And he could not ignore the spaceships that had started to come down from the sky. Both of them were locked behind vast walls of transparent bricks that he could not pass. With each new theme came new pieces and minifigures, and as an ambitious builder, Bob wanted them for his own. He decided to start with the Castle Lords, wanting to bring them under his banner before they finished their castles. He managed to create a small pass through the boundary wall with his unique insight into the physics of Lego, and initially attempted to negotiate trade with the various lords, showing them how quick and strong a castle could be built with his bricks and methods. However, he created it in bright yellow, causing it to become somewhat of a joke between the lords, who were taking their time to build up their own castles in solid grey. This early meeting meant that very few of the lords would work with him, demanding unmanageable low-value trades. He would need to show them his might, and so he began looking for key allies, having a particular eye for potential and skill. The details are not well known, but Bob found himself an ally in the Dark Wizard, Steve, who helped him further break down the boundaries between themes and allowed for the movement of Bob's army. It wasn't much at first, just hundreds of Bob-like figures with their unending smiling faces and no weapons. However, he very suddenly brought the Black Falcons under his command, and with them and his surprisingly resilient castles, won a short war against the Castle Lords in just a few short years. Castle bricks, armour, minifigure accessories, and all it had to offer began to work its way into Bob's town. After this he moved on to space, where he allied himself with Blacktron, eventually becoming its leader. Both factions of the space theme were brought under Bob, and with the new space pieces and castle pieces, he created the sub-themes of town as well as for castle and space themselves. All sub-themes after Futuron and Blacktron, as well as Black Falcons, Lion Knights and Forest Men, had Bob's involvement in some manner. And he began to build up his city as well as founding the Bob Corp. Bob is an acronym standing for Bob's Ordinary Bricks, where he uses the ordinary bricks of his home as the foundation of everything in the universe and became incredibly powerful and rich as a result. Bob had become a true master builder. He saw the connections in the world no one else could. He could disassemble and reassemble anything, even the Lego figures themselves. It was around here that Bob became a unique minifigure, decreeing that no one could have his look anymore, and all his smiley-faced soldiers that had been identical to him adopted space and castle armour, and only their face remained the same. While he had started wars to get where he was, it was undeniable that Bob was a driving force for the development of themes, with town, space and castle getting many new structures and minifigures as a result of his control. He was even the one that introduced trains after discovering an old engine unit that had fallen from the sky and using his genius to create trains and track connecting the three themes. The first new theme Bob encountered that he did not develop as a sub-theme for the ones he controlled was when pirates attacked the castle-theme fortifications. Their cannons wrought havoc on the castles, but Bob swiftly organised his now elite Blacktron forces and sent their overwhelming firepower against them. They were obliterated, and while they put up a brave fight with the islanders who hid them, the capture and disassembling of Captain Redbeard led to their surrender. However, once under Bob's control, they found many benefits to his endless resources and genius, with many new sets and ideas coming from it. Meanwhile, Redbeard became the first of many to have his head placed on Bob's wall of defeated enemies. Many other themes would follow, and all would be brought under Bob's expanding empire in one way or another. The Aquanauts became allies and eventually vassals of Bob after he helped them with the Aquasharks. The Western theme resisted, but was crushed by Bob's vast armies. Bob hijacked the Time Twisters theme to gain the ability to access time as well as space thanks to his friend Steve. Johnny Thunder of the Adventure theme has had his expeditions bankrolled by Bob, who has claimed many ruins and things as a result. Then came the Rock Raiders, who emerged from below and brought the golems with them. Bob decisively drove them back and earned their allegiance and resources. Then came Bob's biggest challenge. Through his exploration of space and a rift caused by one of the time twisters, he opened up wormholes through time and space to another dimension, the universe where Star Wars takes place. War against the Empire, Confederate forces and Sith began quickly and furiously. The Jedi were cautious of Bob and refused to ally with him, feeling a disturbance in the Force they could not quite comprehend, limiting Bob's allies there. One of his greatest generals, Dave, studied under the Sith in secret and returned to Bob's service as Darth Dave, a sadistic and maniacal warrior now imbued with the power of the Sith. To this day, it is the one theme he is still in open war with. Other themes included in Bob's backstory: Studio, with Bob's attempt to recreate movies he had seen through the multiverse; Alpha Team, who became an underground rebel group fighting against him. Harry Potter has managed to keep their world isolated from Bob through magic. He also founded the sports theme, is the creator of Lego Island, co-opted racing as entertainment for his city. Vikings attempted to raid his land but were wildly outgunned. He brought back dinosaurs with the Time Twisters. Exoforce resisted but was wiped out in a mech war, one of the last big wars with Bob outside of Star Wars. SpongeBob was brought in and forced to make non-stop episodes. Lego Batman entered the scene chasing the Joker through a wormhole, and Bob has him believing that he's the mayor of the city, for which he is, kind of, but is obviously much more. Indiana Jones became a partner of Johnny Thunder. Agents were Bob's counterforce to Alpha Team. The Power Miners were the Rock Raiders upgraded by Bob and digging deeper than ever. Atlantis was discovered by Bob's Aquanauts. Bob's propaganda is now in full effect, convincing the Ninjago warriors he was a good guy, with his evil activities fewer and more hidden than ever. Ninjago is an evolution of the old ninja sub-theme, who has come to life through living in Bob's world, being exposed to new technology and a big city, and they've sort of co-opted part of that into Ninjago City. The Nexo Knights were also lured in by Bob as an ally, as they had developed from the castle theme again with the advancement of technology and pieces that Bob was able to provide for them. Marvel was brought in through the multiverse, with most heroes accepting Bob's help against the villains they are fighting. His propaganda is so effective, the heroes are never able to rally a large enough force against him. Many other themes were brought in through the multiverse: Minecraft, Overwatch, Animal Crossing, Sonic the Hedgehog, Jurassic World, and more, all peacefully. So that's Bob, and that's where the story of my diorama will begin. We'll start with the city itself, and then build up some of the surrounding areas. I will talk a bit more specific about the plans that I have in the near future in another upcoming video, as well as confirming some of the themes that I'd most like to start with. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. I can't promise I'll use them, but I always appreciate it. Looking forward to not just building up a diorama, but also a world and stories within it. And you can help. Post your ideas and thoughts. I am more than happy to include sig figs in the future where I can. But if you want to support this project, please subscribe and drop this video a like, share it with your Lego-minded friends, and together we can get the Bobverse really cooking. I'm extremely excited to get started. There's a long road ahead, but I'm hoping to look back in a year's time and be proud of how much I've built up. It's going to be a lot of hard work and dedication, and I do hope that you'll take this journey with me. But for now, stay tuned for more, stay cool, keep building, and see you next time.